This past weekend, I shot my 4th free portfolio project. It was the North Leeds Food Festival and it was their 10th anniversary. 2 lenses, 2 cameras, a drone, and a piece of plastic that saved my entire shoot. If you're into event photography or videography, this video will show you how I prepared for this shoot, what equipment I used, and the lessons that I learned over the past weekend. I'll also be sharing something that happened on day 2 of the event, but that will be a whole video in itself, which will be out in a couple of weeks. So let's get straight into it. Okay, so before we start this video, I just want to give some context for those who are new to this channel. When I started this channel, or when I started this studio about 3 months ago, I reached out to several clients offering to do free projects so that I could build my portfolio. North Leeds Food Festival was one of those who agreed to give me the opportunity to film the food festival over the past weekend. It was their 10th anniversary and this festival is conducted every year in Leeds in the UK. The brief from the organizer was simple. They wanted me to focus on the people, the entertainment, and the food. So one of the things that I did before the shoot was do a recce of the location. The shoot was on a Saturday and Sunday, and I went to the location on a Friday to see where it was. This was not some elaborate, detailed, planned recce, but it was more like a general visit just to understand where the exit and entry points were, where I could park my car, where I could store my equipment. When I was doing the recce, I met the organizer who took me around and showed me where the food stalls would be, where the entertainment would be, and where I could keep my equipment on the day of the festival. So this allowed me to come in on the day of the festival knowing where I needed to go without having to spend time trying to find the place where I could set up, a place where I could park, where the exit or the entry points were. This saved me a lot of time. So doing that recce a day before was really beneficial for me. Another benefit of doing the recce was that I was able to walk around and understand my surroundings. I knew where the stalls were and where the entertainment was, and this gave me a chance to understand what lenses I need to carry on the day of the shoot. Doing a recce also helps you understand where the natural light is going to fall at different times of the day for your shoot. Unfortunately, on the day of the shoot, it was forecasted to rain, so there was no point for me looking at where the natural light will fall because the previous day when I was doing the recce was a gloomy day as well. So the main thing I want to explain through this is I think doing a recce is very beneficial. If you get the option to do it, I think you should. It gives you a good understanding of the location, what equipment that you need to carry, and also helps you plan the natural light according to different times of the day. Okay, let's talk about the exciting bit. What equipment did I carry for the 2 days of the North Leeds Food Festival? In terms of equipment, I carried 2 cameras. The first was my A camera, which was the Sony FX3. This was paired along with the Sony A7 Mark II, which I'm currently using right now to film this video. In terms of lenses, I carried a total of 4 lenses. The first was the Sony 85mm f1.8. I used this to get some nice close-up tight shots of the food, of the chef preparing the food, and just basically close personal shots that carried emotion. The second lens that I carried was the 50mm f1.4. Although I did carry this lens, I did not get a chance to use it. I'll explain why later on towards the end of the video. I also carried the Sony 70-200 f2.8 G Master Mark II, and my plan to use this lens was on day 2 where I could film the band performing on the main stage from at a distance. That was my plan on how I'd use this lens. And my 4th lens was the Sony 35mm f1.8. That was my main lens. It was on the camera, I think easily 75% of the time, trying to capture wide shots of people moving around. Unfortunately, my other wider lens was the 16mm, and I did not want to carry the 16mm because it gives sort of a distorted look to the video. I'm using the 16mm right now, and that's not the kind of style I wanted for the food festival or for the final result, so I did not carry the 16mm. I carried the 35mm instead. In terms of stabilization, I carried the DJI RS5, and to get an aerial perspective, I carried the DJI Avatar 2. It was a lot of fun flying this around around in an open field and trying to get some cool shots of the festival from the sky. I also carried several ND filters, a V-mount battery, and the DJI Mic 3. I also carried several camera accessories such as the camera cleaning kit, a gray card for white balance, and several different batteries and memory cards. The last and final piece of equipment that I want to talk about is this 6-pound piece of plastic. I think in USD it's about $8 or $9. This piece of plastic saved my entire shoot. The whole of day one was raining, and using this I was able to cover my camera, my lens, and my gimbal, and cover it and keep it away from any water throughout the whole shoot. This was a lifesaver. So here are the 3 lessons that I learned that I want to share with you. Lesson number 1, make a note of the weather. It is one of the most important and critical elements to prepare for your shoot date. By checking the weather, you know what to expect and you know what to carry. And it also helps you in terms of your shoot, so you can understand where the light falls, and this will help you frame your shots accordingly. In my case, I kept tracking the weather app throughout the week, and as I got closer to the event, I realized the weather was not changing and it was most likely going to rain. So what I did was I went onto Amazon and I ordered this piece of plastic for about 6 pounds or about $8, and it arrived the next working day, just in time for me to use it during my shoot. Checking the weather is one of the most underrated things that you can do to prepare for your shoot. Using this plastic cover, I was able to cover my gimbal, my camera, and my lens throughout the day as I was walking around in an open field, filming the crowd, the food, and the entertainment. The process to use this is very straightforward. It took me less than, I think, 2 minutes to have this put on my gimbal. Initially, I was very nervous, but after using this for about 30 minutes, I started to feel way better in the rain outside. So this lesson is very important. Make sure you check the weather forecast so that you're well prepared for your shoot day. You do not want to expose your expensive equipment to severe weather conditions and end up losing money. For lesson number 2, I realized I had overpacked for this event. And when I reached there, this led to decision fatigue, and I spent more time deciding what I need to use and when I need to use, and I could have saved all of this time if I had packed intentionally. I carried 4 lenses, but I ended up using only 2 for over 95% of the time. In fact, the remaining 5% I could have still gotten away if I hadn't used the 3rd lens. When shooting a festival, you have to be reactive in terms of your shots. You never know when you will catch a moment of emotion or something really great that you need to capture on camera. And the only way that you can get around to capturing this really quick is if you have less decisions to make and more time to react quickly and swap between these lenses. By packing intentionally, what you can make sure is that you spend less time thinking about what equipment to use and when to use, and get straight to using the right equipment at the right time. The result of packing intentionally is that you have the exact equipment that you need for the right shot and at the right time. Having excess equipment leads you to spending extra time in deciding what to use and when to use, and this can be avoided when you pack intentionally. In this instance, we were fortunate enough to be given a spot where we could leave our bags and our equipment, so I could easily go back and change the lenses if I needed to. My process for this shoot was that I carried a big bag that had all my equipment and a small little side pouch that I could carry extra lenses around with me while I was walking around the festival. Some of the equipment that I carried but I did not end up using was the SmallRig 99 V-mount battery. I was told that there would be electrical supply at the festival and that I could use those connections to charge any batteries that I needed to. In spite of being told this, I still carried the SmallRig V-mount battery because I thought I would rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it, because what if they ran out of power at this festival? But I did not end up using this at all. I also carried 2 tripods. One, a travel lightweight tripod, and second, a video tripod. I did not end up using either of these tripods, but if I did end up using, I would have used a video tripod. By spending 30 minutes planning your shoot before the actual event, you can list the exact type of shots that you want to capture, and this allows you to choose the lenses that you need exactly for this shoot so that you pack with intention and don't carry extra gear for the shoot. Another thing is, if you pack extra equipment that you're not exactly using, most of the cases, if you're a solo filmmaker, you're leaving this equipment lying around unattended, and because of this, there are higher chances of it being damaged or stolen. So you need to put yourself in situations that minimize your risk, and packing intentionally can help and go a long way. The third and final lesson that I want to share is a simple basic plan is much better than zero plan. When I went for this shoot, I knew it was going to be a 2-day shoot, so I made an active decision to film all of day one's content reactively. And my plan was to go into the shoot on day 2 and capture anything that I missed or recapture any shots that did not come across as I wanted it to. Another way that I could have approached this event is spending 30 minutes before the event to understand how I plan to shoot on both the days. This food festival had a timetable, and I could have gotten this information from the organizer and planned my shoots accordingly. I could attend the live cooking sessions at one particular time and then move on to the dog show at another particular time. Planning the sequence of events on shoot day can save you a lot of time and reduce decision fatigue. It also helps you get the shots that you need to, majority of it on the first day itself, so that it frees up a lot more space on day 2 for you to cover up any shots that you think you need to get because you might have missed it on day 1. A good way to plan for your shoot is to spend some time trying to do some research and look for inspiration on Pinterest or Instagram, TikTok, or even YouTube, so that you can start to plan what kind of shots you want to get. Do you need close-up shots? Do you need wide shots? Do you need shots that are showcasing the environment? Do you need shots that are showing the action where it is? How are you going to capture emotion and people that are gathered around far away? Do you need a zoom lens? Are you planning to carry a drone? If you're going to film a band, how are you going to record the music? Are you planning to use their own music, or are you just planning to use some royalty-free music that you've got from either Epidemic or Artlist? So these are the kind of questions that you would benefit by asking yourself before you go in for the actual shoot. So like I said, a very basic minimal plan is much better than having no plan at all. I know I mentioned at the start of this video that I want to share something that happened on day 2 of this festival. Well, that's going to be in another video completely, as that process is still ongoing. But what I can tell you is it's something to do with equipment and insurance. I will be sharing this video in a couple of weeks, so make sure you stay tuned for that and subscribe to the channel if you want to follow along and be updated on what really happened on the second day of the festival. So now I'm going to spend about a week or 2 editing the final video for this food festival, and I'll show snippets of that on my Instagram profile. So make sure you follow me on Instagram if you'd like to see how that video turned out. I'm also working on the video that highlights how I went from 0 to my first paid client. I want this video to be as detailed as possible and give you all the value that I possibly can. That video is going to be out by the end of this month. So make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss that video. If you ever shot a festival, let me know what you did and what are the extra tips that you can probably add along in the comments below. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.